Good morning to each and everyone. We're not, as you see, wearing face masks in this room, given that we can apply social distancing. The Alliance for Multilateralism is going through some very important times. We know that COVID-19 has upset social relationships, but also our daily lives and beyond borders. It very much challenges well our certainties and is bringing us to question globalization and the destructive impact of human activities on nature. It is obvious, only solidarity and international cooperation can allow us to meet the global challenges we are facing. Many initiatives have been taken in order to strengthen international cooperation, amongst them the Alliance for Multilateralism that was launched in September 2019 in New York in the margin of the General Assembly of the United Nations. It gathers some 70 countries willing to propose some concrete proposals in order to defend and modernize the multilateral system. Today, this event is taking place within the framework of the Paris Peace Forum, and it gives us an opportunity to present the work of the Alliance in two fields. First of all, the One Health approach, that is, bringing awareness as to the relationship between human, animal, and environmental health. Second, the fight against infodemics, rumors, fake news, which are spreading on the internet and can very much impede our joint efforts to fight the pandemics and spread confusion as well. In order to meet both these challenges, the members of the Alliance have worked with 4 international organizations, the WHO, the World Organization for Animal Health, the United Nations Environment Programme, the FAO, as well as partners of the civil society on all continents. Today, stand by our side the Director Generals of the WHO, the World Organization for Animal Health, the FAO and the UNEP, as well as the ministers from Singapore, Mexico, Australia, South Africa, and 2 representatives of NGOs, wildlife organizations, society, and Reporters Without Borders. Without further ado, please allow me to leave the floor to the French and German foreign ministers.
Merci beaucoup. Mesdames et messieurs les directeurs généraux,
thank you very much, Director Generals, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. The pandemic crisis not only confirmed our joint assessment as to the importance of international cooperation in a world of joint challenges, but the crisis also is a reminder that an efficient multilateralism is a reactive multilateralism. This is the reason why, for a number of months already, our LASIN has been working hard in order to learn all the lessons of what we're going through. First of all, in order to strengthen the multilateral health architecture. The work we've been doing since the beginning of the crisis allowed us to identify, first of all, the need to strengthen the international health regulation and also to reconsider the levels of alert. Today, we want to be extremely concrete by giving some bringing to a new level the One Health approach. This requires the putting in place a One Health high-level expert council that will gather all the information available and work on the link between human, animal, and environmental health and disorders, and give it some increased visibility as well with the leaders, the public leaders, but also within the public as well, as we can see how important that is. Mankind cannot live properly on a planet which is ill. Any threat to our ecosystems, a threat to animal life, is, as a matter of fact, also a threat to our own health. Yesterday, this link between these major issues was obvious, but one decade after another, it was not so obvious anymore. After many more, the environment was damaged so many times. We now need to face it, and we need some proper tools. This is thanks to the leaders of these various organizations, the WHO, the World Organization for Animal Health, the FAO, the UN, EP. This is thanks to all of you that we can launch this new council and face up to the reality. France is very proud of it, given that we always supported this project together with Germany, and we will continue to do so in a very concrete manner with the first contribution of 3 million euros. And given that COVID-19 is not over yet, take this opportunity to remind all of us of the Act A initiative. This afternoon, there will be a meeting on this topic, on Act A, opened by President Macron, and this initiative still needs the strongest possible support. As you know, the purpose of it is to foster the development and universal and equitable access to diagnosis, treatments, and vaccines against COVID-19, and these shall be treated as global public goods. Once we've dealt with this first topic together, the One Health issue, in a discussion on the occasion of which we can cover the scientific, institutional, as well as political elements, we will then move on to the fight against the scourge of infodemics. For us, the issue of manipulation of information is certainly not new. We, as early as September 2019, launched together a partnership for information and democracy. The purpose of it is to give access to a reliable and information coming out of free and independent media. A first report was issued by the working group on infodemics. It will be made public today. We will look into it and assess our responsibilities to see how we can implement concretely these recommendations. In short, it is about improving regulations and the transparency of the platforms and how they moderate contents. It is about promoting the reliability of information. And it is also about looking into these private message systems, because sometimes they very much turn into unregulated platforms. All of this work is extremely important because nothing that is happening online today is without consequences on our societies. When manipulation of information brings about hate and is the hotbed of violence, and France knows a lot about this. So when manipulation of information brings about some fake scientific news, it means it has an impact on the way we can or we cannot mobilize our fellow citizens in fighting COVID-19. I therefore very much would like to thank Christophe Deloire for being together with us, the head of Reporters Without Borders, to discuss these major challenges later on today. Such are the topics we are covering, and dear Heiko, you have the floor.
Cher Jean-Yves, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we only value health when sickness comes. This saying applies not only to each of us, but also to our global community. The COVID-19 pandemic has made diplomacy much more difficult, but it has also created a powerful reason for international cooperation. In the pandemic, no one is safe until everyone is safe. That is why the Alliance for Multilateralism has made global health its priority. At our most recent meeting in September, 70 ministers underlined the goal to boost and reform the multilateral health architecture. And we are focusing on 3 areas. First, our call to make COVID-19 vaccine a global public good. Countries around the world have joined it, choosing solidarity over vaccine nationalism. A recent data from the German company BioNTech and its American partner gives us hope that the vaccine could indeed be effective. However, having a vaccine is only the first step. Its fair global distribution will be crucial, and therefore we must increase our support to the ACT accelerator and its vaccine pillar COVAX. And we are doing so as part of a coordinated initiative by the European Commission. Second, we must strengthen the WHO. Our alliance has prepared concrete proposals to enhance WHO resilience, preparedness, and capacity to act in global health crisis. And after the US election last week, I'm hopeful that we can once again count on our American friends in this important endeavor. Third, we should apply the One Health approach. The pandemic has shown us how closely human, animal, and planetary health are linked. We can base our work on the Berlin principles, which were adopted at the One Planet, One Health, One Future conference last year. And as a next step, we are launching the One Health High-Level Expert Council today. And I would like to thank the WHO, the FAO, the World Organization for Animal Health, and the United Nations Environment Programme for their great cooperation. And let me make one final point. The fight against the pandemic is also about communication. To win it, we need reliable, transparent, and fact-based information. This does not limit freedom of expression, but manipulation and disinformation are the deadly partners of the virus. That is why our alliance, Partnership on Information and Democracy, is so important. And I'm looking forward to the recommendation that the working group on infodemics will present today. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, there is no doubt that the pandemic will remain at the top of our agenda for quite some time. But it's not unbeatable. Vaccines are being developed. Treatments are getting more effective. And last but not least, the international community is finally coming together. And our meeting is a living proof. Thank you for being a part of the solution.
Thank you very much, Ministers of Foreign Affairs. Without further ado, I suggest that we indeed talk about this approach of the Alliance for Multilateralism, One Single Health. We are well aware that the mad cow disease already at the time shed light on the consequences of some breeding practices on human health. Now we know that the pressure exerted by mankind on the environment by destroying the ecosystems is increasing the risks of the transfer of new diseases from wild species to humans. We need to combine approaches. We need doctors, researchers, veterinaries, as well as zoologists to work together. It is fundamental to gather and to spread some independent and reliable scientific information as to the link between human, animal, and environmental health. Today, the leaders of these four international organizations in charge of these matters are uniting or joining their forces to put together this One Health high-level expert council that will be able to present to the leaders, to the public opinion, some reliable information as to the links between all of these chapters. And without further ado, I will leave the floor to Dr. Monique Eloi, the General Director of the World Organization for Animal Health.
Bonjour à tous. Excellences, mesdames et messieurs, les maladies humaines et animales n'ont pas de frontières. Il était donc logique d'en conclure que le contrôle de ces maladies n'est possible que par une approche multilatérale. C'est pourquoi la coopération et la coordination des instances internationales sont essentielles pour mettre en synergie les actions et les moyens. Et depuis quelques années, avec mes collègues directeurs généraux de l'OMS et de la FAO, et dans le cadre de notre tripartite, nous multiplions les initiatives pour qu'une seule santé, One Health, ne soit pas seulement un concept, mais une réalité. Nous développons des stratégies coordonnées et déclinées en actions opérationnelles pour leur mise en application. Nous entretenons aussi des réseaux conjoints d'experts, de laboratoires de référence, afin de mutualiser les connaissances scientifiques. Et notre engagement tripartite a aussi permis d'initier une dynamique Une seule santé dans de nombreux pays membres, ce qui constitue certainement un atout important alors qu'il faut accélérer les efforts de renforcement des capacités de gestion des crises sanitaires. En effet, malgré ces acquis, la crise actuelle de la Covid-19 nous montre dramatiquement que nous n'avons pas assez progressé. Nous devons encore travailler davantage pour améliorer la réponse aux urgences et la résilience des systèmes de santé. Mais surtout, il me semble que nous pouvons déjà tirer un enseignement de la crise actuelle quant à la déclinaison du concept Une seule santé qui vise à anticiper, analyser, traiter les risques connus et émergents à l'interface entre les trois secteurs que sont la santé humaine, la santé animale et l'environnement. En effet, si nous avons significativement conforté le rapprochement entre santé humaine et santé animale, nous avons sans doute trop négligé leur interface avec celle des écosystèmes. Alors oui, il est désormais temps de rééquilibrer les domaines d'intervention de notre tripartite en considérant mieux ces questions liées à l'environnement, car nous savons que nous devrons faire face à d'autres émergences, à d'autres crises. C'est pourquoi aujourd'hui l'Organisation mondiale de la santé animale, l'OIE, accueille favorablement la proposition de la création d'un conseil d'experts de haut niveau, Une seule santé, pour aider la tripartite à laquelle sera associé le programme des Nations unies pour le développement, afin que notre action multi-institutionnelle et multilatérale soit plus efficace, plus cohérente face à la réalité des enjeux, plus audible par nos concitoyens et donc plus durable. Car en effet, nous ne réussirons à prévenir les prochaines menaces sanitaires que si chacun d'entre nous est convaincu que l'approche Une seule santé s'inscrit dans le long terme. Alors, messieurs les ministres, chers collègues directeurs généraux, mesdames et messieurs, soyez assurés que l'Organisation mondiale de la santé animale, l'OIE, est prête à contribuer activement aux discussions qui se tiendront prochainement pour l'opérationnalisation de cette initiative. Merci beaucoup de votre attention et de votre invitation.
Thank you very much, Monique Eloi, for your contribution and for being so enthusiastic about joining this One Health High-Level Council. Now it is for the Secretary General of the FAO. The floor is yours, Sir.
Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, one for all and all for one is a well-known saying from French literature and very appropriate to the discussion today on the multilateral action to improve the health security. Recognizing how human, animal, and environmental conditions are ultimately connected, we might adopt the saying to one health for all and all for one health. One Health is not a big slogan or an empty concept. The approach has had a demonstrated success when applied at the community level in a high-risk setting where the spillovers of wildlife infections occur. The tripartite organizations, WHO, FAO, and OIE, have developed a range of support tools to assist their members in assessing their need and establish a functional One Health platform at the technical level. To address the full range of root causes and the processes within which diseases emerge and spread in an increasingly interconnected planet, we need to apply the One Health approach to the great challenges, particularly those at the interface of agricultural sectors, including livestock, crops, forestry, fishery, and agricultural species. FAO recognizing the importance of environmental sustainability as a key determinant of the long-term One Health for all, as we share one planet. We welcome the idea of the high-level expert board to assist the tripartite and the UNEP in focusing attention on critical issues that require multi-agency, multilateral actions. It could advise us on how to contribute most effectively to improving environmental health and facing risks from the human-agricultural environmental interface. Such high-level expertise group might be formed at the comprehensive level, composing by leaders, prominent academics, and representatives from private sectors as an independent science panel to support our One Health efforts. We need to prioritize our joint efforts to bring the planet back on the track towards the sustainable health and leaving no one behind. Colleagues and partners, let me close with the wish that we might all say, all for One Health and One Health for all. Since united we stand, but divided we fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution in the name of the FAO. We will now be listening to the Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, Mrs. Inger Andersen.
Good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to speak today, and let me thank the Alliance for Multilateralism, including the two distinguished foreign ministers, Minister Ledrin and Minister Mas, for their leadership here. It's with great pleasure that UNEP, of course, welcomes the suggestion for the foundation and the forming of a high-level expert council, a move that will make a significant impact, we hope, to the understanding of the imperatives of the One Health issue. We at UNEP, we see these three planetary crises driven by our unsustainable consumption and production, the crisis of biodiversity, the crisis of climate change, and the crisis of pollution. Just recently, we issued a report that speaks to zoonosis and zoonotic diseases together with partners. We issued this report, and it highlights 7 areas that are critical for tackling. First, that are critical to the development of zoonosis. One issue deals with the unsustainable agricultural intensification, i.e. intrusion into pristine agricultural environmental lands. One issue deals with the demand for animal protein that has gone up. One issue deals with the exploitation of wildlife and that increase. One issue deals with the unsustainable conversion of land accelerated by urbanization. One issue deals with travel and transportation. One issue deals with the changes in food supply. And of course, finally, climate change. Many of these issues lie across the 3 sectors: nature's health, animal health, and human health. And unless we tackle these 3 together, we will not be able to get at the root causes of those diseases that we see before us. In addition to these, clearly, we need to understand that antimicrobial resistance is a significant other factor that we need to deal with together between the health, human health, the animal health, and the environmental health. So there are many reasons why stepping up and forming such a high-level council makes a great deal of sense. And I salute my colleagues, the Director Generals of WHO, of OIE, and of FAO for the critical work that they have done under the One Health initiative. But they themselves recognize, of course, that the environmental dimension has been a little more silent. And it is for this reason that we are absolutely delighted to join this initiative at this point. We from UNEP look forward to putting our skills, our science, our knowledge, and our insight to the collective effort in order to ensure that together we really can tackle the One Health imperative. Never before has it been more important. And as we look forward, there are a number of events where we can make this stressed. One event, of course, is the upcoming United Nations Environment Assembly 5. 2 environment assemblies previously have passed resolutions that impacts upon UNEP's and stresses the importance of UNEP's work on zoonosis and the health dimension. But we also have the World Food Summit coming up, convened by the Secretary General, scheduled for September 2021 as an important platform on which to base some of this work. And of course, we have COP15 for the Biodiversity Convention, which will deal squarely with some of the issues that we are discussing right now. And then COP26, the climate COP in December, which will also address some of those issues. So we have any number of places at the highest level at which we can highlight the imperatives of One Health. I thank ministers and the Alliance for convening us today, and I look forward very much to continued collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Inger Andersen, for your commitment in favor of this project, this high-level expert council. There will be 4 international organizations in it. We will now listen to Dr. Tedros, head of the WHO.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir, very well. And we're very
Okay, thank you. I think there was a connection problem, so we had to try our best to connect. Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, good morning, and I would like to thank the Alliance for Multilateralism and the Paris Peace Forum for the invitation to share a few reflections with you today. The COVID-19 pandemic is a stark reminder of the close links between the health of humans, animals, and the planet we share. Humans, animals, and microbes share the same ecosystem. More than 70% of emerging diseases that have been discovered in recent years are linked to animal to human transmission. Major health challenges, including antimicrobial resistance, food safety, and pandemic preparedness, cannot be effectively addressed by one sector or one nation alone. That's why the tripartite, the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, the World Organization for Animal Health, and WHO was formed several years ago to work together on a One Health approach that encompasses the health of humans, animals, and our planet. But the pandemic has demonstrated that we need to take our work to the next level. That's why together we have agreed to establish a One Health high-level expert council supported by a joint secretariat, which will draw on the expertise of WHO, OIE, FAO, and the UN environment to improve the scientific basis for political decision-making, promote political commitment, and increase public awareness. We believe this new initiative will help in several key ways. First, it will be built It will help to build global consensus for the One Health approach as the basis for developing robust and coordinated global action. Changes in the ecosystem that affect human health, like environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity, climate change, and agricultural practices should be addressed through comprehensive policies and enforcement. Second, the high-level expert council will enable us to broaden our reach by including associate partners to contribute relevant expertise. And third, it will consolidate the tools that we already have, such as the Global Early Warning System for major animal diseases, including zoonosis, a joint system that combines and coordinates the alert mechanisms of FAO, OIE, and WHO. WHO looks forward to working with the tripartite, the UN environment, and other key partners to develop high-level expert council, which we look forward to launching during the World Health Assembly in May next year. WHO stands ready with its partners to strengthen the One Health approach as part of our commitment to building a healthier, safer, fairer, and more sustainable world. I thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Director General. Thank you very much, sir. I'm very pleased that we could have you online. The connection was excellent. And as we all understood, the purpose of this One Health High-Level Expert Council, the purpose of it is very much to support, to help political leaders in taking the decisions in the context of the current and the future crisis. We are now leaving the floor accordingly to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Singapore and Mexico, Mr. Balakrishnan and Mr. Abraham. We will then be listening to a civil society expert, Mrs. Sarah Olson of the Wildlife Conservation Society. Mr. Balakrishnan, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, and I would like to thank my good friends Heiko and Jean-Yves for convening this meeting on the sidelines of the Paris Peace Forum. Excellencies, we are facing a perfect storm, a clear and present danger from COVID-19, a long-term problem with climate change, and in between, the challenges posed by intensive agriculture. This means that in fact, these three problems have conspired to create a vicious circle which endangers us all the more so. We know, as Dr. Tedros has just reminded us, that many of the pandemics that have scourged the world have a zoonotic origin. More recently, as we witness the resurgence of COVID-19, particularly the Northern Hemisphere, we've also received disturbing news that there are new animal reservoirs discovered for SARS-CoV-2. For instance, the recent discovery of this virus being in mink farms in Denmark. And not only are these animals being infected from humans, but they are also in turn able to infect humans in return. And what this means basically is that there are even more opportunities for further viral mutation and for further viral dissemination. And this essentially means that COVID-19 will probably be impossible to eradicate. So we're in this for the long haul, and we need to step up international cooperation to find and distribute viable vaccines and to embark on coordinated action across the globe. And this is why Singapore supports the COVID-19 Vaccine Global Access Facility to ensure equitable and universal access to the vaccines. We are pleased to note that there has been progress made by the COVAX facility. And I believe as of the 29th of October 2020, 94 self-financing economies, including Singapore, have committed to participate in the COVAX facility. Together with the 92 low and middle income countries, that are supported by the COVAX Advanced Market Commitment. There is a total of 186 participants in the facility. Singapore is also honored to represent the 108 members of the Forum of Small States on the Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator Facilitation Council. And we will ensure that the views of small states are reflected in the Facilitation Council's deliberations. However, even as we search for a vaccine for COVID-19, we must cast our eyes beyond the horizon in anticipation of disease X. In other words, another global pandemic, but this time potentially with an even higher mortality rate than COVID-19. So we need to be prepared that there will be novel diseases and that some of these, in fact, it will probably be of a zoonotic origin. That emphasizes the need for stronger cross-sectoral and interdisciplinary cooperation between human, animal, and environmental health sectors in order to protect our public. And that is why we formally established the Singapore One Health Framework in 2012, which comprises our health, environmental, and food agencies. We also organized a biennial One Health Symposium to serve as a common platform for both local and overseas One Health practitioners and stakeholders to share knowledge and experiences, to interact and build networks with one another. Singapore is committed to upholding transparency in disease information sharing, and we will continue to do our part on reporting animal disease outbreaks to the World Organization for Animal Health and our trading partners. Excellencies, no country can overcome this crisis on our own. Singapore will continue to work with all our partners to advocate for a coordinated multilateral response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And this means working together for safe travel protocols and to ensure that global supply chains are not disrupted. Thank you very much for this opportunity to participate today.
It's a pleasure for me to be in this conversation in the launch of One Health High-Level Expert Council. Thank you very much to the Multilateralism Alliance for inviting Mexico and myself to be part of this council. So the most important thing I think from our experience in Mexico in the past months, we have launched several initiatives in the United Nations, in several multilateral organisms, obviously the World Health Organization and others, about the universal access to vaccines, treatments and equipment, and mainly knowledge, share the knowledge, accelerate the cooperation in knowledge, scientific knowledge about what's going on, what can be done in the short term, and also what kind of measures we can take in order to prevent economic impacts or organize the economic growth initiatives and social initiatives in order to reduce the huge impact of this pandemic. So cooperation and multilateral efforts has been the most important tool for everyone. From the point of view of Mexico, has been really decisive, crucial, definitive for us in order to confront this pandemic. So I think that One Health concept is very important to consolidate this, to share and accelerate, as I mentioned, the strategies, the information, the treatments, and the initiatives between the countries. So, from my point of view, I think that in the next months, we need to strengthen this concept and the sense of necessity to maintain the cooperation, to strengthen the multilateral network in the world. Because in the next years, we are going to have, and we need to face, a new societies in several fields, a new vision. We are not going to return to anyone. We need to go further, to have new initiatives for maintaining the cooperation, despite we're not in the pandemic trend or the pandemic peak. So thank you very much for this invitation, and I would like to remark from the Mexican point of view, and I think a lot of countries in Latin America and Caribbean and all over the world, which is, let's stay working together. Let's maintain the idea of the necessity to confront our problems together. And our main lessons, the lessons that we learned in the past month and that we are learning today, let's share the lessons between us. And the main one is we are just one society all over the world. There are no way to think in other perspective. And we need to really maintain this point of view, this vision about the future. So thank you very much again. We are going to be very, very active in this council, expert council, with such an important and prestigious personalities. And Mexico is going back and going further to support this effort in the next months and years. So thank you very much. And we really appreciate to be part of this council of high-level experts. One health for one world. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity. It is truly an honor to say a few words as a practicing One Health researcher about the value of the One Health approach and the creation of a multilateral One Health high-level expert council. In 2004, I was fortunate to be among the first cohorts of graduate students trained in this emerging field. That same year, in the wake of the global SARS outbreak, the Manhattan Principles presciently stated that a broader understanding of health and disease demanded a One Health approach, which required a coming together of human, domestic, animal, and wildlife health. These were revisited and updated in late 2019 as the Berlin Principles on One Health, a call to action that brought together representatives from 47 countries in response to global biodiversity loss and climate change. The establishment of this council to share the science with policymakers and the public, and very critically to help promote multilateral action, is a welcome step forward. Scientists from different backgrounds have started integrating historically siloed One Health fields, but governments and intergovernmental cooperation are needed to lead with a One Health approach to transform our world. By building on foundational science, multilateral organizations must take clear and bold actions, setting goalposts that subsequently enable other governmental leaders, donors, and implementers, as well as diverse societal actors to follow. Since the mid-19th century, when SARS-CoV-2 probably diverged from its closest known bat virus relative, the world's urban populations have grown 600%, while globally an area roughly half the size of the United States has been deforested and carbon emissions have quadrupled. As of 2020, 75% of the terrestrial environment was considered severely altered by human actions, and global mammal biomass was 60% domestic livestock, 36% humans, and just 4% wildlife. Land use change is the biggest factor driving biodiversity loss, and there has been a 68% average decline in global wildlife populations in the last 50 years. During this period of unprecedented change, SARS-CoV-2 quietly evolved from that shared ancestral bat strain and went undetected in a reservoir or intermediate host. With that land use change came increased human and domestic animal contact rates with wildlife. In research we published earlier this year, we showed coronavirus detection rates significantly increased along a live rodent supply chain, with 50% of individuals testing positive at slaughter in restaurants. COVID-19 and other zoonotic diseases have emerged because we have clearly pushed and shaken ecological systems too far. Borrowing from the Berlin principles, this expert council can support policymakers to develop One Health solutions for disease threats that meaningfully integrate biodiversity conservation perspectives with human health and well-being, that use holistic and forward-looking approaches to the detection, prevention, monitoring, control, and mitigation of emerging or resurging zoonotic diseases, that build participatory, collaborative relationships among governments, NGOs, indigenous peoples, and local communities, and that invest in educating and raising awareness for global One Health citizenship and to approaches for young to old. One Health researchers are eager to support this council and will bring the enthusiasm and passion we need to tackle the big challenges ahead.
Merci beaucoup. Merci aux directeurs généraux et ministres d'avoir pris la parole pour soutenir cette approche.
Thank you very much for taking the floor to support this One Health approach. We're now moving on to our second field of action of the Alliance for Multilateralism, infodemics, fake news, and all of that. Access to reliable information, freedom of information are, of course, fundamental in the concept of pandemics. There were some whistleblowers who sounded the alarm as to the emergence of these new pandemics, and of course the international organizations, WHO and others, as well as the media, are working on publishing some reference data. Still, unfortunately, there's still a lot of fake news and rumors amplified by the internet and new means of communication. This infodemics, accordingly, is very confusing. So we need to continue to see how we can moderate online contents while respecting freedom of expression and freedom of information. It is a real challenge for democracies, and we'll now listen to the chair of the Christophe Deloire, who is both the Secretary General of Reporters Without Borders and chair of the Information and Democracy Forum.
Mesdames et messieurs les ministres, mesdames et messieurs, pendant des années,
Ministers, ladies and
on
gentlemen,
a parlé de donner des responsabilités aux plateformes
for
numériques,
many years we
avoir
talked
les
about making
définir lesquelles et formuler des propositions concrètes pour les gouvernements et les parlements, c'est l'un des rôles du Forum sur l'information et la démocratie. Le 26 juin dernier, lors de la réunion d'Alliance pour le multilatéralisme, je vous avais présenté notre groupe de travail sur les infodémies. Merci pour votre soutien. Je vous remets aujourd'hui 250 recommandations. C'est de la matière première pour la régulation. Cela tombe à un moment crucial, alors que dans beaucoup de pays, des lois sont en préparation. Le contenu. Nous préconisons des obligations de transparence très fortes pour les plateformes et les algorithmes et des sanctions dissuasives au besoin. Nous recommandons une prohibition des conflits d'intérêts des plateformes pour éviter qu'elles ne nous montrent une réalité sponsorisée. Par la co-régulation, vous avez la possibilité d'imposer des mécanismes structurels de promotion de la fiabilité de l'information. La Journalism Trust Initiative, par exemple, JTI, dispose déjà d'un cadre de référence publié sous l'égide du Comité européen de normalisation. Cette Journalism Trust Initiative permettra de créer un véritable facteur intégrité de l'indexation algorithmique. Ce que je veux dire par là, c'est que nous pouvons imposer aux sociétés technologiques qui font du tri algorithmique de promouvoir les médias qui usent des meilleures méthodes professionnelles et des principes éthiques du journalisme. Nous vous proposons aussi une série de mesures pour empêcher la propagation des infodémies sur les messageries privées, tout en respectant le secret des correspondances. Nous sommes évidemment à votre disposition pour travailler à la mise en œuvre de ces recommandations. On entend des appels pour la constitution d'une coalition des démocraties. Cette coalition existe. C'est le groupe des États signataires du Partenariat international sur l'information et la démocratie. Ce groupe a un rôle essentiel à jouer. Les États du partenariat se sont engagés à organiser chaque année une réunion dans un format convenu d'un commun accord. Notre forum est à l'urgence démocratique, ce que le GIEC est à l'urgence climatique. Nous sommes donc là aussi à votre disposition. Il nous faut l'équivalent des conférences des parties des COP. Je vous annonce par ailleurs qu'un nouveau groupe de travail sera lancé dans les prochains jours sur la soutenabilité du journalisme. parce que nous entrons clairement dans une décennie décisive pour l'avenir de cette fonction sociale. La survie du journalisme de qualité est tout bonnement en jeu. Là encore, nous serons heureux de travailler avec vos gouvernements, mais aussi les centres de recherche technologique, les juristes, les économistes de vos pays. Je tiens à remercier les pays de l'Alliance pour le multilatéralisme dans leur ensemble, et tout particulièrement les ministres français et allemands des Affaires étrangères, messieurs Jean-Yves Le Drian et Heiko Maas.
Many countries are also working hard on the fight against infodemics while protecting the freedom of expression. This is the case of South Africa. I will therefore leave the floor to Naledi Pandor, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation for South Africa.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Allow me to thank the co-chairs of the Alliance for Multilateralism for inviting South Africa to be part of this discussion. I really am very excited that the Alliance is part of the launch of the One Health High-Level Expert Council. I believe this is a very, very important initiative in that it will draw us together to collaborate in combating both the pandemic and other crises that will confront our global community. I believe the Experts Council will be a very important platform for the exchange of scientific information and for supporting researchers as well as science institutions worldwide. I am hopeful that African universities, science councils, and researchers will be part of the work that will be led by the Council, because the time has come to ensure that Africa is not left behind in any endeavor that seeks new knowledge and new solutions. I also welcome the report of the Working Group on the Forum for Information and Democracy. This forum and the work it is doing will ensure that we provide appropriate and accurate information to our communities so that they are able to work together with governments to protect themselves in saving lives and saving our environment. We have realized in the course of the pandemic the importance of continent-wide collaboration, and led by President Ramaphosa through the African Union, we have successfully worked together as the continent to devise solutions and approaches to address the pandemic. I believe the collaboration we've established will be utilized to address the wide range of issues that the Health Experts Council will be focused upon. One of the areas that we have had to ensure we are active in is combating information on the virus. We've had numerous communication about the virus worldwide. Some of it has been misinformation, which has moved as speedily as the virus. Sadly, powerful leaders have abused communications through misinformation and distortion of information about the virus. We have had to pay attention through government outreach programs to ensure that our communities are appropriately informed, through providing guidelines in multiple languages, information in popular format, through pamphlets, community radio programs, and other resources to support the delivery of accurate information. We've been very proactive as South Africa through having a range of platforms, both social and formal media, to ensure that our people have relevant information available to them. We must do so with respect to communication about animals and their role in pandemics and diseases, as well as through arming our communities to help us as we respond to the effects of climate change. We have legislation that does provide protection to communities against misinformation, and we have used this to good effect to prevent those who would cause great harm in our communities, as well as create crises by misinformation. The infodemic issue is unavoidable in an era because of the difficulty of attempting to regulate social media. We call upon everyone to adhere to the coronavirus public health advice that is provided by the World Health Organization, as well as to use national regulations to prevent misinformation. We now live in a new normal because of this pandemic, and we have to adapt all our laws and our practices to respond to the new normal. We as South Africa commit to working closely with members of the Alliance for Multilateralism and also to investing in our health systems and strengthening them to provide universal health coverage and to create a healthy population. We believe when we have prosperity, peace, and partnership in the globe, we will move very closely toward all the objectives espoused in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much, Excellency. After South Africa, moving on to Australia, another continent where we will be listening to, from where we will be listening to Mary's Payne, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Australia. Madam, you have the floor.
2020 has been a difficult year for us all. COVID-19 has challenged us in ways we would not have thought possible 12 months ago. We've had to adapt, embrace new technology, and change the way we think about the world in which we live. We have had to reevaluate how we obtain information, which sources we trust, and how we most effectively share reliable information to keep people safe. As the world continues to confront the significant impacts of COVID-19, it is more important than ever to draw on the advice of public health authorities and ensure every person has access to health information that is accurate, timely, and based on science. We need to equip people to make informed decisions for themselves and their families. At the most recent meeting of the Alliance for Multilateralism, we stressed the importance of access to reliable information and the need to fight disinformation. The best way to do this is to ensure that the information we collect and disseminate is true, independent, and supported by clear evidence. Australia welcomes the launch of the One Health High-Level Panel Council. The Council's work to collect and share reliable, independent scientific information will support better policymaking around the world. It will help improve our understanding of the links between the health of people, animals and the environment, and support evidence-based decision-making. Clear information will be crucial to support the take-up of a COVID-19 vaccine. Australia is committed to supporting global efforts to help our region access safe and effective vaccines as part of our shared recovery from the pandemic. Using evidence and expertise from around the world, governments such as Australia's will be better equipped to chart a course through the pandemic and to combat the infodemic. By communicating accurate advice clearly, quickly and effectively, we can help counter the misinformation and disinformation that we know can be so harmful. We need to work together through forums like this to strengthen multilateral institutions and ensure everyone has access to reliable and credible information. Thank you.
Dear friends, after this very fruitful discussion, first of all, please allow me to thank you for the quality of your interventions, your contributions, and for the strength of your commitment. I also would like to remind all of us to the fact that when we launched the Alliance for Multilateralism together with the Heiko Maas, we always very much put forward a multilateralism of action and for results. And today, with this One Health High-Level Expert Council, and with the very concrete lead that we're announcing in order to combat infodemics, we are very much where we should be, and we can be proud of this alliance. Notwithstanding its youth, it is already playing a very useful role at the heart of the current crisis, and it is already in a position to propose some pragmatic responses to today's global challenges. It is in this spirit that we will continue to work together for multilateralism of results and action.